Authentisign iPad contract to close. We're looking at the light view of our transaction desk account. This is a transaction desk account for a Buffalo Niagara member benefit. So that's just the demonstration account that we're going to use today. All the services and features are the same across different associations and different user types, but the only thing that we'll see might be a little different is the forms library will be from a Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors. So we're going to quickly run through setting up a transaction file and typing up some forms. So with that in mind, it's the way that we really suggest or really think that you get the highest and best use of Transaction Desk is creating transaction files. Transaction Desk is transaction-centric. You create a transaction file, you add details, dates, and contact information to that file. Then you type up your forms and contracts within that transaction file. So I'm going to click on that transactions icon, center screen, shading to the right, tapping, I guess, on the iPad, tap on transactions. First thing we see is the list of transaction files that we've created previously. Our list of transaction files there, middle third, left-hand side of the screen, those are all active links, and we can access any of those transaction files that we've created previously to manage that sale process through these web-based applications. What we're going to do is create a new transaction file. But just before we do, I just want to talk about this phrase, I would like to. Middle third of the screen, right-hand side, I would like to, and the option menu that's available every time you see that phrase. Every time you see I would like to, it's going to be in association with one of these drop-down menus, or in the iPad's case, one of these pop-up menus. I would like to phrase is one of the most essential features of the Transaction Desk platform, because you're going to see it consistently throughout the functional pages. Every time you see the I would like to phrase, it's going to be in association with one of these pop-up menus. I would like to create a new transaction file. That is the one that we want to select. It is the one that's selected by default. And I'm going to tap on that little action arrow just to the right of the menu to go to the start page. We're going to create a new transaction file. The only requirement when creating a transaction file is to give that file a name. So that's what's in red font there, red font, asterisk, to give that file a name. So we are going to name our file here and tap into that field so we can type in the transaction name. We're going to do a buyer contract here, purchase and sale, and our buyer is going to be Williams. That's their last name, first name, Quinn, and Quinn Williams is a single-family residential buyer. Please name your files in any format that you would like. You can type letters, numbers, special characters into these naming fields. Please name your files in a way that's going to be very specific to you, how you like to name them. Don't use my corny way to name, as the only way to name your files. However you like to name your files, property address, client name, some unique identifier, please use your naming method here in this naming field. You can use any of those letters, numbers, or special characters to name your transaction file. But that is the only required field. Everything from here down is optional. Optional ways to start adding some details to this new file. In terms of the transaction type, I'm going to expand that menu, and I'm going to actually scroll down a smidge to choose residential sale. That's the type of transaction I'm about to start, residential sales transaction file. Just to speak to that a little bit, additional features within the Transaction Desk platform is that you can associate sets of forms to this type of transaction. You can associate document checklists and activity plans. These are all features that can be associated to transaction types. So more than just a type of transaction, it can generate additional features being added to your transaction file. You set up the features, quick start groups, associate them to a transaction type. You can generate activity plans, associate them to that type of transaction. So there's more to it than just mindlessly adding a type. You can also attach features to those transaction types. We are also going to look to import from the MLS here. That drop-down selection there. We do have MLS integrations with a number of associations throughout the country. So I'm going to choose that. You can see we have the New York State Alliance. That's the Central New York MLS. Also RealList. That's for public record. So we do have public record integrations with both RealList and IMAP. So when you're starting new listings, if your association uses RealList or IMAP, you can typically import from public records to get property information into your transaction file. For this example, I'm going to use that New York State MLS. And now I'm going to type in the MLS ID. So I'm going quiet here for a second because I'm reading and typing at the same time. So MLS ID, again, just to import, just to show you the features that they are available, just to show you how that opportunity. Continuing to go down the screen here, additional ways to add details to your file. You can create what we call transaction templates. Again, opportunities to automatically associate details to your new transaction files. Instead of just starting blank transactions and manually adding a whole bunch of information, you can generate templates and start your files from a template to automatically associate a set of forms, to automatically associate some contacts and so forth. These are typically more advanced sessions to show you how to create those that content within your file, but just so you know that it's available to you, you can create this type of content within your transaction desk account. Bottom of the screen there, I am the listing agent, selling agent, neither or both. We've been designated the selling agent when we chose residential sale. We could change that to neither. If we were on neither side of the file, we could change it to both if we were both listing and selling agent. We'll stick with selling agent because that's where we're going to represent here on this side of the transaction. We're just starting our file. We gave it a name. That was the only requirement. We chose a type. We're importing from the MLS. We're going to add ourselves in as the selling agent and our office in as the selling broker. As I tap on that Save diskette in the lower third of the screen, right-hand side, tapping on the Save diskette, we're going to start this new transaction file. We're going to start this file so that we can type up a set of forms, and then we'll take this set of forms over to Authentisign for digital signatures. We're doing all of this actions on an iPad. Right now, iPad is the one that we have developed for. We officially support iPad devices through our web-based application. So we are continuing to develop towards Android-based tablets and Kindles and other tablet devices, but right now iPads, they are the lion's share of tablets that are used on the market. So that was the tablet that we went towards developing for first. iPad compliance for the transaction and Authentisign digital signatures. So here we are in the Details tab, scrolling down the page just a little bit. Transaction details, upper third of the screen, left-hand side. Transaction successfully created. We're in the Details tab of our transaction file. As I scroll down, we can see here MLS ID, address, city, state, zip, tax number, MLS details imported from our MLS into the Details tab of our transaction file. List price. Now, this was a sold MLS, so it was also brought in some purchase price information. The list date was added in as I continue to scroll down the page. Closing and possession, or closing date, also came in. None of these details are required. I don't even have to add details if I don't want to. If I don't find value in adding this type of information, I can just tab right over to Forms, add forms, and start typing them up, and keep moving forward with completing the forms and contracts. I have value for adding details and contacts, so I just want to at least show you how to do that. You can choose to add any of this information in. This information will auto-populate into our forms and contracts. These details fields are mapped to the form fields. So wherever we have address requirements in our forms, this information will populate into the forms we attach to this file. I'm just going to continue to move forward here. That's a Details tab, just moving left to right from Details to Contacts, tapping on the Contacts tab. A whole bunch of contacts have been added to our transaction file. Some came from the MLS integration import. Some of them came from our starting the transaction. I was added in. Greg Buffalo was added in. My broker, Instanet Realty, was added in. The listing agent and listing broker were brought in from the MLS. The sellers were brought in from the MLS. And because this was a sold property, additional selling and selling broker were brought in. So I'm going to remove them. First thing I'm going to do, put little check marks in the boxes next to the contacts that I would like to remove. There's that phrase again, upper third, middle third of the screen, I would like to expand that menu to delete transaction contacts. Tap on the action arrow. They will be permanently removed. That is okay with me. I'm going to remove those additional selling agents from my file. But I would also like to add some contacts as well. I want to add Quinn as a buyer contact to this transaction file. So same place, I would like to add transaction contact. Tap on the action arrow, prompting us what type of contact are we going to add. In this example, that drop-down menu there, we are going to add a buyer. But let me just scroll down so you can get a sense of the different contact types that you can add in. You can customize this drop-down menu for your own use, but these are all the system values. And I'm going to stick with the one buyer. Quinn Williams is a buyer contact. I'm going to add Quinn to my transaction file. I'm going to type in his name, Quinn, next, Williams. Scroll down to the cell phone. Throw a little Austin at you here. Next, to the email address for Quinn. Type in that email address. Collapse that keyboard, get a better full screen view. Now, not only do I want to add Quinn as a buyer contact to my file, I also want to save Quinn to my transaction desk database. So lower third of the screen, left-hand side, little business card icon, little checkbox that says add to my contacts. I'm going to check that box so that two things happen. One, when I click to save this Quinn will be added as a buyer contact to my transaction file. The second thing that will happen is Quinn will be saved to my transaction desk contacts, always available to me to insert into new transactions, into outbound email messages, to Authentisign signings, and the like. So as I tap on that Save Diskette, lower third of the screen, right-hand side, tapping on Save. Like I said, two things happen. Quinn Williams added as a buyer contact to my file. Quinn has also been saved to my contact database. If there are additional buyers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, business partners, just go through the steps to add in those additional contacts. I would like to add a contact, buyer contact, wife's name, husband's name, brothers or sisters, so forth. Add them in separately so that each buyer will auto-populate into the printed name fields under your signature lines. Add in your contacts to your transaction files. Some advanced features of contacts, anybody added as a contact can be granted what we refer to as participant access. So just something to think about, participant access. If you want any of your contacts to have access to your transaction files, we call that participant access, which can be added to your contacts profile. Details, contacts, next tab, moving to the right is Forms. Going to tap on that Forms tab so that we can look to add forms to our transaction file. I would like to phrase, middle third right, I would like to add new form. Tap on the action arrow. We're going to access the forms library. Again, this is where the demonstration account may look different than your own account. Your forms library is going to be the forms from the state where you practice, for the state or association where you are a member. In this demonstration, I'm using Buffalo Niagara. You may see two folders here. The top one is called Quick Start Groups. These are groups of forms that you can generate based on types of transactions for listings or single families, in this case, a purchase packet. Maybe you don't see that folder. If you don't see a Quick Start Group folder here in this view, it means that none have ever been set up. It doesn't stop you from adding forms. It's going to scroll down a little bit and tap on the individual. Just expand that individual form folder to see the different folders within the availability to you. And I'm going to select the first buyer and seller forms because I want to add in a couple here. And again, iPad, all I'm doing is checking the box next to the form name. And I'm going to choose that agent follow-up and the agency disclosure. Whoops, not that one. The one above it. There we go. One more, I'm going to expand the contracts and riders because I'm also going to add in the contract to sale. Go through the list. Select the forms that you would want to add into your transaction file. Scroll back to the top here. Blue button there, top center of the screen, center, add selected forms. Tapping on that radio button to add these forms to my transaction file. Now, it might not be a complete set of forms, but it's definitely the ones that I'm going to need to get started. Looks like I do have a duplicate there for agency disclosure, so I would like to select that, select the form. Little checkbox to the left of agency disclosure. I would like to delete selected form. Action arrow, okay with me to delete that form. Additionally, in that I would like to menu, this time I've got to leave it popped up a little bit more. Are you starting to get a sense of how essential these drop-down menus are? I would like to. First, I deleted a selected form. Now I would like to auto-populate my forms. Maybe the most important function. If I would like to use the most essential phrase, auto-populate might arguably be the most essential function. As I click on that action arrow, my forms will be populated with the transaction details, dates, and contact information. That is okay with me. It's exactly what I want to have happen so that my form fields will be populated with my transaction details, dates, and contact information. We are in the Forms tab. I would like to drop-down menu, auto-populate forms is the function. Once we have auto-populated our forms, now I'm going to tap on the form name. That's how we're going to access the forms editor. I'm going to tap on the form name, buyer agency agreement, exclusive right to represent, to launch it to forms editor. This is where the keyboard meets the contract. This is where we are typing up the online forms. And again, not going to spend too much time here. Hopefully everyone on this call has been typing up online forms already. Whether you've been doing it in individual forms or within transaction files, you know how to type up the online form. I'm just here to give you a visual of what Forms Editor looks like on the iPad. All of the blue fields are fillable. Go through those form fields and complete them. If you have never typed up an online form before, all the blue fields are fillable. Tap into the field, populate it with the appropriate details. You can see this one down here on 5 has a county in there already. Just because it's been auto-populated, I can still type into that field. Let me throw a little Austin at you here, a little Travis County. It's been auto-populated, but I can continue to add detail to those fields. Select the appropriate check boxes. Add the appropriate values to your form fields. Go through and type up your online form where the keyboard meets the contract. Maybe one of the most essential features of Forms Editor within the iPad, upper center of the screen where it says Transaction Forms. Top center of the screen, Transaction Forms. I'm going to tap on that feature. You can see it opens a little pop-up message so that I can see all of the forms that I've already added to this transaction file. We're looking at the buyer agency agreement. I'm going to leave the buyer agency and go to the contract sale. I'm going to tap on that form name to go immediately to that form by clicking on Open Selected Form. So I'm leaving the buyer agency and going over to the purchase contract. I can access each form right through Forms Editor. Looks like I lost the Reflector app here. Let me see if I can make sure I've got it going. There we go. Back in business. Sorry about that. Sometimes these things have a mind of their own. So Reflector back in action, and it's good in action. Then I have the little iPad peripheral around the pages. So again, just went from one form to the next, and we're going to type up these online forms as well, using my iPad to type up the online forms. You can see that they are pre-filled with my transaction file information. I can use the pinch and zoom on these on Forms Editor. Whoa, zoom in, zoom out. That's the pinch and zoom to kind of bring it into a good visual. Go through, type up your online forms and contracts. Once you have gone through, and again, the key one is transaction forms, tapping on that one to be able to go from one form to the next. As you type up one, use the transaction forms to go to the next form to complete each form and contract. Now I want to leave Forms Editor. I want to leave the Forms Editor, upper third of the screen, left-hand corner, File. That File drop-down menu in the upper third left. Just to speak to a couple of these features first, we can save the changes that we made to the form. We can generate a new version of this form. We can make and edit a copy of this form. We can clear the form contents. You might want to steer clear of clear. Not sure you want to be removing all the contents from your form. We can delete the form. We can send the form outbound now via email or fax. We can send a copy, a PDF copy, to our document section of our transaction. So you can start delivering these outbound to clients and cooperating agents. I want to choose the file. I'm going to choose the exit option because I want to exit from Form Editor and go back to our transaction forms. So I'm not sure that you want to, if you're in a transaction file, that you want to start emailing or faxing individual forms. I think you would prefer to select the forms, either all of them or some subset of the forms. I would like to drop down menu, email or fax selected forms, print selected forms to PDF. There's a little PDF interim, so you can merge the forms together and then print them to paper. But these are the traditional delivery options, right, to email, fax, or print selected forms to paper. Each of those functions, emailing, faxing, and printing, involves a print cycle. We're trying to go paperless here. We want to completely digitize the sale process. So we are going to take these completed forms over to Authentisign for digital signatures. But I always like to emphasize that you have these traditional delivery options of email messages, faxing, and printing. Select the forms that you want to print, email, or fax, and choose that function from the drop-down menu. I would like to email, fax, or print. We're not going to choose any of those options. We're actually going to go to Authentisign right here from our transaction file. We're just going to tap on the Authentisign tab. Middle center screen, shading to the right just a little bit, we're going to tap on Authentisign. Because this is going to start the signing process. There are 4 simple steps to creating a signing. The 5th step is just to finalize and send, so it really are 4 simple steps. First step here is to give our signing a name. And I want to make mine a little bit more unique than just my transaction name. I want to make it Quinn Williams, but I just want to say that it's the buyer agency agreement and agency disclosure. Those are the 2 documents that I'm going to have signed with this signing event. So now I'm in Authentisign. I tap that Authentisign tab. I'm going to minimize that pop-up keyboard. Step 1, giving my signing a name and choosing the participant order. It's more of an invitation method than a participant order. Inline signing, the signing participants will receive the invitations one at a time. In step 2, where we add our participants, we'll put them into the appropriate order as we add them to our signing. But here in step 1, we want to decide how Authentisign is going to deliver the invitations. If we want those invitations to be delivered one at a time in a very linear order, a defined delivery order, choose inline. If you don't care what order folks sign, choose simulsign. Simultaneous, simulsign. All the participants receive the invitations simultaneously. So select the participant order. Give your signing a name. You can choose to select an expiration date so that the signing will expire at midnight on a given date. I would encourage you to only use that in very specific needs. I don't think you'll use it that often. But if you really need it, if you have an expiration date, then you can certainly use that function. Otherwise, I think 9 times out of 10, you're going to come in, give your signing a name, choose that invitation method, and tap on the blue plus sign to go to step 2. Step 2 is our participants. We want to add signing participants. We can add new participant. That's basically adding from scratch. You type in their name, their email address, and so forth. You add them manually. We're going to select the second option there from our transaction. Tapping that option, these are the contacts that were in our transaction file. I'm going to select Quinn and myself as remote signers. Remote signers indicates that we're going to use the email delivery methods to deliver the invitations to our signers. We're not together. We're not in the same room together, so we're going to send these out remotely. We're going to deliver the invitations to participants' email addresses so that they can access the invitation and complete the signing. The difference would be in-person signer. If Quinn was sitting in the office with me, or I'm in Quinn's house, or maybe we're even in the house that we're going to make an offer on, or something to that effect. Maybe Quinn came to the office because we talked about the types of properties, and we're getting our agreements signed and disclosures signed and so forth. In-person signer will actually deliver the invitation to me. As the creator, I receive the invitation. I open the email message and hand the tablet to Quinn so that Quinn can authenticate, create his Authentisign profile, and be presented with the documents to sign. Once Quinn signs the documents, he hands the tablet back to me, and I type in my little creator PIN number to authenticate that I watched Quinn sign the documents through Authentisign service. So in-person signer. There are short 1 to 3 minute how do I videos for these additional functions. At the end of the session, I will show you how to access those additional how do I videos. But in this case, we're going to go with, I think, the more common way where you're separate from the signer and delivering the email invitations. So we've selected our signing participants, and the blue plus sign, or the blue add button, upper third of the screen, right-hand side. I'm going to tap on that add button to add these participants to our signing. I can access the signer details just by tapping on the little image there. I'm going to tap on my own Greg Buffalo selling agent so I can see the details. I'm actually going to change the email address here to Gmail. I guess I didn't need to do .com, but we'll go ahead. Each signing participant can also be assigned a PIN. This is so that you can ensure that the person that you assign the PIN to is the one who's actually signing. If you don't think that an email address is secure enough, you can assign that participant a signing PIN. You will need to deliver that PIN number to your participant in a separate communication. I think this comes into play a lot when you have signers who share an email address, maybe a husband and wife who share an email address. You add both participants in separately with the same email address. So in that instance, you may want to, because they do not have separate emails, you may want to assign them each a signing PIN number. So when you're talking to the husband, you can give the husband his signing PIN. So when he goes to access the invitation to participate, he will be prompted for that signing PIN. When you're speaking to the wife, you'll give her the signing PIN as well, a separate signing PIN, a different signing PIN for each signing participant, so that you know the person logging in to that signing event is the person that you delivered the PIN number to. So I really think this happens a lot when the email addresses are the same and you want to ensure that each is signing on their own behalf. Create a PIN number for that. It is not a required field. The only requirements are in red font with the asterisk, the type, the name, the email, and the role. So make sure if you want to use the PIN to deliver it in a secondary communication to further authenticate the party that's actually signing. Upper third of the screen, right-hand side, I'm going to save that participant. And again, I just tapped on the participant name, maybe in Quinn. Maybe I want to give Quinn a signing PIN. so that Authentisign will deliver the invitation. I would call Quinn on the phone, talk to him about the invitation to participate, and give him his signing PIN so that I know the only person I gave the PIN number to is the person logging in and signing those documents. Additional level of security. Again, saving that participant. I'm going to tap on the Add button one more time just to again show the different ways to add participants to our signing. Add is typing them in from scratch. Transaction is selecting from our transaction file. We can add from our contact database, and we can add ourselves. We already did from our transaction file, but in the instances that you're not creating transactions or not working from a transaction, you can add from your transaction desk contacts. You can add yourself in as well. Different ways to add your participants to the signing. Again, I'm going to point out some links to some shorter videos to go through all these different features as well. Time restrictions, keeping us moving forward here. Going now to step 3. Clicking on that blue plus sign, getting lower to the lower third left-hand side. Step 3. Now we want to include some forms and documents. Top selection is select from forms. That is if you're using the individual forms or have typed up individual forms within your transaction desk account. You can select those forms from the forms library. You can select from transaction and DocBox documents. So if you have these saved transaction files or saved documents online, you can select from those. We're going to select from our transaction file, the Williams Quinn single-family residential buyer forms and documents. I'm going to tap that selection to be prompted with the forms that I typed up specifically for Quinn. In this signing event, I'm going to select the agency disclosure and the buyer agency agreement. Those were the two that I wanted to have signed during this signing event. We can create additional signing events for the purchase contract and the property inspection. So unlimited Authentisign signings. You can create as many signings as you need as you go through that sale process. For this particular signing event, I'm going to add in these two forms for my signing participant. But let me tap that add again because I want to speak to some features as well. The one specifically is to upload by email. The bottom option, upload by email. And hopefully the first thing that you recognize is the kind of lower part of the screen. It says video help on Authentisign email contacts is here. So you can watch the video on how to email documents into your Authentisign signing. Just to give you a little preamble, you essentially generate the signing as a contact within your email provider. You create this particular signing as an email contact, especially if you're on the iPad, where you don't really have the opportunity to download documents to your iPad. Maybe you're reviewing a PDF attachment, or you use the iBooks app to save documents to your iPad. You open those documents and you email them in to your Authentisign signing. You email them in by saving the signing as a contact within your email provider. So you can watch that video, help on the Authentisign email, to save that email as this signing as an email contact. You then use that to email documents into your signing. It's a great way to forward email messages, documents, and the like into your Authentisign signings by saving the signing as a contact within your email provider and then forwarding the documents to that email contact. All right, just going to tap on cancel. Just want to give you a sense that that opportunity is available in step 3 to not only import your forms, but be able to add documents by forwarding via email into your Authentisign signing. But again, just tap on that add button and you can upload by email and watch that video first and then go through the steps to save this signing as a contact in your email provider. All right, just tapping again on cancel. Just want to make sure that I made that hopefully as clear as I could in the time we have here available as we go on to step 4. Clicking on that blue plus sign, step 4, the design step, because this is where we're going to plot signature and initial requirements. One really nice thing about Authentisign is that there are signature templates that have been set up. So Authentisign is looking at the forms that we are importing in, and the signature requirements on those forms. So here's an exclusive right to represent buyer agency. There are buyer signer requirements on this form. We have a buyer signer included in our signing. Authentisign matches the two together and plots the buyer's initial onto the page. Signature template. Scrolling down further, Authentisign is not a form editor. We've typed up the form already. Our completed form is now being prepared for signatures and initials. The signature templates have pre-plotted where the required buyer initials are needed. Scrolling down again, another initial, and then two signatures, one for myself as the authorized agent, one for my buyer signer. Signature templates auto-plotting these requirements. But there's going to be additional requirements here. I'm going to continue to scroll down. Perhaps we want to drop an initial or signature here on the bottom of page 1, just so I can show you how to drag and drop these initial and signature blocks. First things first, we want to make sure that we're going to drop the block for the appropriate signing party. Upper third of the screen, right-hand corner, says Greg Buffalo. I'm going to tap on that to expand it, to show both myself. These are our signing participants to the signing. Myself, Greg Buffalo, my buyer, Quinn Williams. If I want to drop the block for myself, I would leave myself highlighted in red. If I want to switch over to Quinn, I tap Quinn's name, and now his name is highlighted. It is red. For all of you that I believe it's red, maybe I'm colorblind, maybe it's orange, I don't know, but it is a colored box with Quinn's name in it. Now I want to, just below that, there's a little drag and drop tab. I'm going to tap on that tab to expand it. There's signature blocks and optional signatures, initials and optional initials, check boxes and radio buttons, dates and initials, text boxes and QR codes. Not going to be able to talk to them all. We're just going to stick with the main ones. In this case, initial. I'm going to tap and hold that initial block and drag it onto the page. That's all I need to do is tap and hold to drag and drop it onto the page. Now this step might be the most essential. Right now I'm going to tap and hold on the block. I've dropped it middle center screen, QW for Quinn Williams initial block. I'm going to tap and hold down on the block for about a 3 count to yield this additional formatting menu, to add a date stamp or a printed name field, or to delete the block. So let me do that again. Block has been plotted. I tap and hold on the block for about a 3 count to yield that formatting menu, to remove it, to name stamp it, or date stamp it. So if I want to add a date stamp to the page, I tap on the date stamp so that when Quinn clicks to accept the block, it will date stamp the page when that action takes place. If it's today, it will show today's date. If it's tomorrow, it would show tomorrow's date. Next Friday, it would stamp next Friday. That date stamp will reflect the day that Quinn clicks to accept the block. Scrolling down the page here, we have a couple more pages to consider. Some check boxes here. That's what these drag and drop blocks are, these check boxes. The blue check boxes are required check marks. The green check boxes are optional. So required, Quinn is required to accept that checkbox. Green, he has the option of whether he wants to select it or not. The little circle there, target, bullseye, is what we call a radio button. You can plot multiple radio buttons, and then Quinn can accept the appropriate one. So that's the either-or scenario. So maybe in this section, I would choose the radio button. When I tap on that radio button and drag it onto the page, it asks me how many buttons. And for this example, I'm going to say 2. And the description is agency. And I want a check mark, or excuse me, I want an X. Now we'll go with check mark. Maybe they look a little cooler. And I'm going to click on continue. So now it's going to give me 2 check marks, and I want, in this instance, I want Quinn to decide if I'm the broker agent or buyer agent. This might not be the greatest example, but I just want to show that this is the either-or scenario. He's only going to be able to choose one of the 2. If I had dropped the check mark, or excuse me, the X, he would have to choose one. If I dropped the blue X, he would have the option to choose it if I dropped the green X. The little circled bullseye are radio buttons, which is the either or scenario. You will only be able to choose one or the other. All right, scrolling down the page a little bit, last drag and drop. Again, I'm just going to switch the signing parties just to show that step again. Select signer, upper third right, tapping, switching to Greg, drag and drop block to drag and drop a signature onto the page. To tap and hold for a 1, 2, 3 count to add the date stamp. Last step here, because I know we're rolling up on our time limit, but the markup. Not going to use any of the features, but I just want to speak to them. You can mark up. Authentisign is not a form editor. Authentisign is not a form editor, but you can use these markup tools to strike over something, to plot a text box. That's what the T is, that T for text. So you can plot a text box to type in some additional information. The little pencil with the squiggly line, that's what we call freehand. So you could use the freehand to kind of look like you write something on there. The one at the very end, that diagonal line, is what we call a line draw. So you can use that to strike over something. Mark up the online Authentisign document. You can mark it up. You can use this for counters. If you're allowed to do counter offers by strike over an initial, this would be the purpose of these markups, to make those types of markups to the online document. But otherwise, zoom and pages and options, so just tap on the options one because it shows you that you can save your changes. We can exit out of here. You can actually print a copy of just the typed up form. If you choose to print download, you're just printing or downloading a copy of the typed up form. None of these blocks would be included in the printed or downloaded version. Otherwise, the design step, I feel like I've completed the design step. Upper center screen says Wizard Step 4 or 5, Williams Quinn -BAAAD. Just to the right of that, there's a little arrow pointing to the right. To the left of it, there's an arrow pointing to the left. If we tap the left arrow, it would take us back to step 3. When I tap the right arrow right now, when I tap the right arrow, it will take me out of the design step to step 5 so that I can finalize and send the invitations. When I tap on Finalize and Send, Authentisign is going to deliver the invitations to my signing participants. I can come back in and manage the signing. I can tap on the signing name to see the details of the signing, to follow the progress of the signing, to edit and resend the email messages outbound. If I type the email address incorrectly, I could fix it, edit, and then upper center screen, just shading to the left a little bit, it says resend. It looks like a little envelope to resend the invitation. So I can follow the signing through that, through this particular, just by tapping on the signing name, I can re-access those signing details. Now what I want to do, I want to access the signing. I'm going to pause my screen just for a moment. I'm going to log into the email account, and I'm going to access and complete the signing for one of our participants. Pardon me just for a moment here, getting logged in to access this invitation to participate. It's a great time for questions. Not sure if I had mentioned that GoToTraining sidebar chat section. Great place to type in questions. Maybe a little late now because I've logged into the email account. I've received the invitation to participate. I'm going to click to open that message. One thought about the message, this is an older one, apologies. I'm going to back up here. Here it is. Got filtered to the promotional. If your recipient or participant is saying they did not receive the message, please have them check those additional menus or folders. Like mine here, I use Gmail. It got pushed to the promotional. You can also have them check spam or junk. We really have no way to control how their email provider or their email account filters these messages. But when they do open it, they can click here on the words or here on the big blue image to access the documents. The first thing that they're going to do is create their Authentisign profile. This is the same for everybody, yourself included. If you've never gone through the Authentisign process if you've never been invited in, you've not created your Authentisign profile. Just like a participant, you create your signature profile in the same manner. You can select upper third of the screen right. You can select font style from a prefabs. And I'm going to click there on accept. Or you can use the Instant Ink feature, which will allow you to create more of a wet signature look. And that's the way I'm going to use now here too. I'm going to do the old Quinn. And this is your opportunity to create your new email or your new signature. If you like it, just click on next. If you want to give it another shot, click on those little recycle arrows. It will clear the slate so that you can redo the signature. I'm going to click on next because you only have to get it right once. Right? Authentisign is going to remember your profile each time you log into future signings. It's going to remember your signature style. It will just prompt you for the password that you're going to create now. You, as the creator, will not know your signing participants' passwords. Only they will know, and Authentisign will know. They will be prompted to agree to the terms of service and consumer consent disclosure. And at the bottom third of the screen center, click on Confirm and Accept. They are confirming their Authentisign profile and accepting the terms of service and consumer consent disclosure. They will now be presented with the documents. They will now click to accept the signature and initial blocks, or they can certainly reject the signing. That is an option of theirs as well. We have 1 of 5 pages. They can certainly go through the thumbnails on the left-hand side of the screen. They can go through those thumbnails to read and review the content and documents they're about to sign. But all they're required to do in the upper third of the screen right-hand side is to click Start Signing. They click on the Start Signing button. Authentisign is going to locate and highlight the signature block. They just tap to accept, and Authentisign automatically plots their signature and initial profile. They tap to accept. Authentisign locates and highlights the next block, applies their signature initial profile. Counting it down, we have 3 items remaining to be clicked. We tap to accept. Here's where we come to the either-or scenario. Which are we, the buyer or broker? We can only choose one. I'm going with buyer's agent for this one. Last block. As we tap, Authentisign applies the signature style. It date stamps the page. We have 0 items remaining to be clicked. But this is another instance where the participant can now go back to page 1, can now read through the content. They can still reject the signing. Just because they have 0 items remaining doesn't mean they cannot decline to sign or exit and come back later, or in this case, we're just going to return back to the signing. The signing participant must now select Done, Accept All, where they will be prompted to stay and review or complete the signing. Once they click on Complete, now they're done. Now they're completed their portion of the Authentisign signing. They're done. We're going to go back to our signing. I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to be very mindful of everybody's time, but I do want to show now we can tap on that signing, and we'll see some of the features have been updated. It shows that Quinn has the little flags there, that they have completed those actions. You as the creator have received email notifications, first that they authenticated and then that they signed. The authentication was when they agreed to participate and created their profile. You can also see that we have a new document, revision 2, which will have Quinn's signatures and initials. I'm going to go in now and I'll complete the signing. We'll have a 3rd revision and a final document. Everyone who participates in the signing will get a copy of that final document, and the document will be sent back to my documents of my transaction file. But with that said, I wanted to be very mindful of everybody's time. I'm going to re-raise. Oops, I'm going to re-raise this audio message. I got to open the audio message. Re-raise this audio message because I want to point out a couple features here. First and most important, maybe doodle.com/schedule Instanet web session. We offer free, unlimited online webinars for yourself, your team, your office. This is our online calendar where you can pick times and days that would be convenient. We can tailor the session to the time that you have and the content that you would like to cover. They're more interactive where we can actually talk to each other, discuss and implementation strategies, and make sure that you're getting the highest and best use of your accounts. Our toll-free number for support, 1-800-668-8768, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. You can dial our toll-free number. If you want to speak with me directly, dial the support number and go to extension 841. Questions, comments, general observations, greg@instanetsolutions.com. My direct email message, questions, comments, general observations. All this content is available to the GoTo Training sidebar materials section. I'm going to leave this highlighted for the doodle.com schedule Instanet web session. I will remain online answering questions through that chat section, so please do continue to type them. And until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.